15 roller coasters, packed front to back. One of the greatest amusement parks out there. I'm going to be ranking all of the coasters from worst to best at Six Flags Great America. I've visited Great America too many times to count, so I have a solid ranking of the lineup. It was difficult picking a few rides, but here's my list of my favorite coasters in the park. Starting the ranking is Little Dipper, a really solid wooden roller coaster. The bus bars are unique, and it's a pretty fun ride, especially if Little Dipper is your first coaster. The line is never too long, and it's an enjoyable coaster that rides fairly smooth. At the 14th spot is Sprocket Rockets. The trains and track look pretty cool, and I believe this was my first roller coaster I'd ridden manufactured by Vekoma, so I have some sentiment towards it. Also, Sprocket Rockets is hidden from the main path, so you can never expect a long line. And if you're visiting with the whole family, you might as well get in line for a ride if it's your first time. Dark Knight is overhated. It's my guilty pleasure ride at the park. The fact that I had to rank this ride this low shows how good Six Flags Great America's collection truly is. I make sure to give it a ride on every visit, which I can't say the same for many rides ranked ahead. I often use that single rider line, and I'm able to get on within a few cycles no matter the wait time. I think I might get a lot of hate for having this ride so low. I've honestly never really ridden this ride much, but I will admit it is a lot of fun to ride when the line is manageable. Whizzer has an amazing setting, and the intensity is kind of unexpected for a ride of this small size and age. This season I hope to give it a few more rides. Joker is a paradoxical ride. Some nights it rides a few spots higher on the list, but other days it doesn't shine like I expect it to. So I figured I'd judge the ride on the average performance. Greenside without a doubt offers a more intense ride, and for me that's the way to go. Prepare to be completely disoriented the duration of the ride. And I have no idea why, but these 4D coasters prompt that fear of the unexpected that I haven't had since my first roller coaster rides ever. S&S's 4D free spin model is possibly one of the most universally hated ride model from all major manufacturers. Personally, I find them pretty enjoyable. Even if this isn't the best of all the 4D free spins I've ridden, I still consider the Great America one a solid ride, and a good addition to the park recently. Intamin Impulses are such good rides. The Flash vertical velocity travels 70 miles per hour, and the coaster stands an impressive 186 feet tall. This is the second tallest roller coaster in the park, and let me say, that vertical spike in the back row is something else. It might not compare to something like Steel Venom at Valley Fair, however the ride experience is still amazing, and enough to stand out at any smaller park. Apparently, the roller coaster pulls 5.6 Gs, and that doesn't even surprise me. I feel like not a lot of people mention the positives you experienced on the ride with those tight transitions into the station. They contrast that sensation with the weightlessness on the backwards vertical spike, and that's a recipe for a solid ride. Demon has grown on me a lot. In the past, I probably would have had this 4 spots lower, but I began to appreciate the ride more. A lot of people like to complain about the jankiness, but I never notice it. I guess you could say one man's pain is another man's pleasure. I will always ride this on my visits, especially if there's no wait. Not only do you have one of the greatest drops on any aerodynamics roller coasters in the back row, but there's also some really intense inversions that follow. The back-to-back loops will even have a seasoned coaster enthusiast graying out from those positive Gs. I really hope Demon is here to stay. These vintage aero looping roller coasters add character to theme park collections. Demon is no exception. The theme of the ride and presentation is also what shapes the ride for me. The character of Demon is unparalleled by most other Six Flags roller coasters. If the rumors of its removal are true, make sure to ride Demon as soon as possible before it gives its last rides. B&M Flyers are amazing rides. Flying roller coasters are always some of the coolest rides when enjoying a new park's lineup. Superman Ultimate Flight dominates over the parking lot, so it's the first thing you see when you enter the park. And it sets the vibe for a great day at Great America when you watch the morning test cycles. Usually I try to knock this ride out right away in the morning before the crowds on my visit. And on every ride, that pretzel loop is rip your face off intense. The element alone is worth a long wait time. Its element might be shorter than the other B&M Flyers in North America, but it packs a punch. I think the pretzel loop on all B&M Flyers I've experienced are top 5 inversions. Not many rides can top the magnitude of the force applied to the body that the pretzel loop inflicts. The rest of the ride, however, is pretty graceful. The remaining layout almost serves to let riders process the demonic nature of the pretzel loop. Call it a one-trick pony or an overrated ride all you want, but it's a lot of fun and a cool gimmick. It still gets lines longer than most of the newer rides at the park. Wooden roller coasters have always fueled the coaster wars. Once a park built the tallest, best new coaster, it seemed another popped up the next year, beating out the previous one in every way. But looking back, without that competition, we'd never have the rides we have today. American Eagle is one of those rides. Intamin tried to build the tallest, fastest roller coaster ever built for its time. Today, it even still holds a few world records. Arguably, American Eagle started the coaster industry we have today. So, I had to rank the ride pretty high. And the ride experience holds up. It gives great night rides, plus that airtime is just amazing. Also, does anybody else admire how distant American Eagle is from the rest of the park? To me, it feels like its own section in a whole different part of the park. Like Demon, American Eagle is a historic ride, and I think it should be respected as a piece of history. Hopefully the park never decides to remove the ride from the park's collection. But when that day comes, many enthusiasts will be sad, including myself. American Eagle offers some great rides, and I'm always willing to give it a ride. One of the most visually appealing rides, those slick trains, vibrant red track, and unique on-ride theme separates it from similar roller coasters. Despite the ride being occasionally graceful, it is a lot of fun to ride. The inversions are easily the highlight, and that twist gets a lot of hype from enthusiasts. The hype is completely justified, because not only are riders getting great hang time, but the near misses are unparalleled. I would say this is the best element on the entire layout of the ride, but the first wing over drop is fairly underappreciated. In the back, you get whipped down, but other rows provide some phenomenal hang time. On top of that great B&M wing coaster layout, X-Flight has some exceptional theming, especially by Six Flags standards. The flight representation is executed great, and the presentation on the midway looks so captivating. I'm always tempted to stand and stare at the ride cycle trains for hours. Also, X-Flight proves to be one of those rides that's great in any row or seat, which makes it easy to re-ride. Left wing versus right wing provides different sensations on most elements, and front or back are varying experiences worth trying. So, I always go back in line to re-ride X-Flight most days because of how special and distinctive the ride is that I'm fortunate to have at my home park. Beginning the top 5 is Viper. This wooden roller coaster never disappoints. Like X-Flight, it has some pretty decent theming for a Six Flags attraction. The station has some awesome props that are very interesting to look at. And for the ride itself, Viper is an airtime machine, and it's a pretty long ride too. On all of the turnarounds, Viper mixes in some great laterals. So the wooden roller coaster really is the all-around package. I never thought of it as an amazing wooden roller coaster until I re-rode Viper a bunch of times this past season. If you're looking for a great, fun, well-rounded wooden roller coaster, Viper is your ideal ride at the park. The PTC lap bars allow for a lot of room, so expect to be out of your seat on several of the ride's camelbacks and during the infamous double down. Overall, I find that Viper always surprises me. I forget about it in the park's collection, but when I give it a re-ride, it makes sure to leave me speechless on the final brake run. Number 4 is Batman the Ride. This ride is historic to the park's collection because it's not the ride Six Flags deserves, but the one we needed. I have a soft spot for the ride. Most people would not rank Batman the Ride as high as I do, but I do have a bit of bias towards it. For some reason, Batman at Great America proves to be one of my favorite inverted roller coasters by B&M. I've ridden a few at other parks, but those 90s B&Ms are something else. On the contrary to the park's collection of B&Ms, I found Batman to be a lot more intense. X-Fly was never intended to be rip your face off intense, and Superman is pretty tame outside of that pretzel loop. If you're craving intensity, Batman is the perfect ride at Great America. I noticed that I tend to always gray out on the double loops, and the ride hauls through the entire layout. My favorite element on the ride is without a doubt the corkscrews. I love the whip B&M provides, and honestly the corkscrews on Great America's Batman the Ride prototype is my favorite element on any B&M invert. I'm a sucker for whip and quick transitions on roller coasters, and Batman executes that perfectly, combining a great theme within the queue, station, and even on ride. This ride doesn't disappoint. Being the first of its model, it won't let you down, and for fans of 90s B&Ms, there's a lot of great qualities on every element. Picking the top 3 was difficult. I find all 3 roller coasters to be pretty interchangeable depending on conditions or what ride I feel like riding on a certain day. Although it was a challenge, I think I have a pretty good idea of the top 3 now after years of visiting Six Flags Great America. But I think number 3 is going to be Max Force is a beast. It may be a short ride, but this drawback seems to be redeemed with the quality of elements. Everybody raves about that launch, and it is nuts. 0 to 78 miles an hour in 1.8 seconds. This is the quickest acceleration of any roller coaster in North America, and you can feel it. The launch is so punchy, and possibly my favorite start to any roller coaster. It's a gut punch. Although it's not the most sustained sensation, you feel that power, and the launch is memorable after the ride ends. Every inversion hits too. The initial Dog Tongue Tower provides great views with an impressive 175-foot height. You get some decent hang time before intense positives at the preceding valley. However, the highlight inversion for most is that hardline roll by the station. Yeah, this element is snappy, but it's oriented in a way that isn't too intense. I personally wouldn't compare it to the Mosasaurus roll, but this inversion is still incredible, and the intensity is conserved until the final brake run. I'm positive Max Force is a ride that every thrill seeker will enjoy. Many might complain about the short duration, but that may have hindered the already insane intensity of the ride with the immaculate pacing. The white track is breathtaking as Max Force is the dominant ride you can view from the main entrance. B&M might have one of the greatest B&M creations ever with Raging Bull. This is most people's most anticipated ride when visiting the park for the first time, and it definitely should be. It has been my number 1 ride in the park for several years. You have one of the greatest first drops on any roller coaster and some great airtime moments to back that drop up. Plus the positives are slept on. Most valleys pull some strong positive G's between each hill, and you get solid laterals on the helixes, making the coaster unique for a B&M Hyper. Raging Bull really doesn't ride like most other B&M Hyper coasters in the US, making the ride a noteworthy coaster within the park's collection. If floater airtime is your thing, Raging Bull is the perfect ride in the park. Raging Bull mixes floater airtime with out-of-your-seat ejector, and I love floater airtime when it's sustained and executed the way B&M Hypers traditionally do. All around, Raging Bull executes everything I want in a ride, making it a challenge not to pick it at the number 1 spot. Raging Bull is a must-ride when visiting the park. I can't not give it a ride when visiting Great America. Here is my number 1 at Six Flags Great America. I stopped fighting my feelings for Goliath. It has always been back and forth between this ride and Raging Bull, but I finally just admitted that Goliath is the stronger ride. I've ridden Goliath so many times. This ride will pack a punch. Although it's not the longest ride, every element has power. They throw elements in one after the other with their non-stop pacing and ejector. I think that's why I love them. All things considered, there's a reason RMC is one of my favorite manufacturers. You know this park is great when no one agrees on a similar ranking. This park is really good for roller coasters and elite elements. If this already isn't high on your bucket list, I hope this video helped make it a priority. If you visited the park, I'd love to hear your rankings in the comments. Thank you so much for watching.